Imagine finding a coin in your change that looks ordinary at first glance, yet has the potential to be worth far more than just 5 cents. That's the power of the Liberty 5-cent coin from 1980. If you own this coin, it might just turn the tables for you. Stick around until the end of this video, because not only will I reveal its fascinating history, but I'll also share its worth according to eBay, online platforms, and auction records, plus how you can sell it. And in the very last part, I'll give you a way to know its real price and selling process. The 1980 Liberty 5-cent coin, widely recognized as part of the Jefferson nickel series, carries on a tradition that began in 1938, featuring Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his famous home, Monticello, on the reverse. It is one of the longest-running coin designs in American history. By 1980, the Jefferson nickel had already circulated for over 4 decades, embedding itself deeply into the American economy and culture. The country was experiencing turning economic challenges with inflation and global uncertainty. Yet coins like the Liberty 5-cent piece remained a constant in daily transactions. Millions of Americans used these nickels in vending machines, parking meters, and grocery stores. To collectors today, they serve as a direct link to that pivotal era in history. Two main mints produced the 1980 nickels, the Philadelphia Mint and the Denver Mint. Philadelphia coins carried no mint mark, while Denver coins proudly displayed the letter D. Tens of millions were struck at each facility, ensuring widespread circulation. But while the majority ended up heavily worn, some survived in uncirculated rolls and sets, which is where the real collector value begins to shine. Condition plays a huge role in determining value. A circulated 1980 Liberty 5-cent coin often holds little more than its face value, but coins preserved in brilliant, uncirculated condition with sharp strikes and full steps on Monticello can become quite desirable. Collectors especially prize examples graded by top services like PCGS and NGC on eBay and other online selling platforms. Circulated examples typically sell for only a small premium above face value, but uncirculated coins command higher prices. Depending on grade, these nickels can sell for several dollars each, and certified coins in high mint state grades have been recorded selling in the range of $50 to over $100. Rare, full-step varieties, where every detail of Monticello's steps is visible, can sell for several $100s at auctions, especially in top condition. Wheat cent is one of the most significant and widely collected coins in U.S. numismatics, minted during the height of World War II. This coin represents a pivotal moment in American history, reflecting both wartime innovation and the enduring legacy of Abraham Lincoln. The wheat penny series, officially called the Lincoln cent, began in 1909 to honor the centennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the coin featured Lincoln's profile on the obverse and 2 wheat ears on the reverse, symbolizing prosperity. The Lincoln wheat penny became a symbol of American values, including hard work, liberty, and unity. From 1909 until 1958, the wheat reverse remained, earning it the name wheat penny among collectors. 1944, the United States was deeply entrenched in World War II. The war placed heavy demands on natural resources, including copper, which was critical for ammunition production. To conserve copper, the U.S. Mint made drastic changes in 1943 by minting steel cents coated with zinc. These 1943 steel pennies were not well received. They rusted easily and were often confused with dimes. In response, the mint altered its strategy again in 1944. 1944 copper returned to the cent, but not in the same form as before. The U.S. Mint began melting down spent ammunition shell casings, which were made of brass, and used them to create the 1944 penny. Thus, the 1944 Liberty wheat penny was composed of 95% copper and 5% zinc, technically classifying it as a brass coin. This unique wartime alloy gives 1944 cents a distinct golden brown appearance, different from the pre-war copper pennies. The 1944 Liberty wheat penny was produced in massive numbers due to economic demands of the war. It was minted at 3 locations. Philadelphia Mint, no mint mark, approx. 1.43 billion coins. Despite the large mintage, several rare and valuable varieties emerged. 1944 steel cent, a few 1944 cents were mistakenly struck on leftover 1943 steel plankets. These 1944 steel pennies are incredibly rare and can fetch over $100,000 at auction. depending on condition and mint mark. 1940 for D over S, a rare variety where a Denver mint mark was punched over a San Francisco mint mark. These are prized by collectors. Off-center strikes, double dies, and clipped blankets, like many coins. Some 1940 for pennies exhibit minting errors, increasing their value among enthusiasts. The Lincoln cent was the first U.S. coin to feature a real person, Abraham Lincoln, rather than a symbolic figure like Lady Liberty. The 1944 penny continued this legacy during a time when Lincoln's values unity, liberty, and perseverance deeply resonated with a nation at war. Lincoln's presence on the coin during World War II served as a subtle reminder of America's enduring principles in the face of global conflict. Because of its massive production, most 1944 wheat pennies are common. In 1944, the United States was at the peak of its industrial might. During World War II, factories that once made consumer goods had shifted to producing tanks, planes, and ammunition. Every resource was carefully allocated, and metals like copper and nickel were critical to the war effort. The U.S. government enforced strict rationing, and even coins were subject to scrutiny. The decision to use spent ammunition, shell casings for coin production, was not only symbolic but also strategic. It demonstrated that nothing was wasted, and every piece of metal was recycled for victory. From 1944 to 1946, the Lincoln cents were made from recycled shell casings, which were collected from military training grounds and battlefields. This made the coins themselves part of the war effort, minted quite literally from the remnants of conflict. These are sometimes referred to as shell case cents or victory cents, and though chemically similar to pre-war bronze cents, the slight differences in appearance are visible under close examination. The mint facilities in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco used single squeeze dies to strike the coins. The high volume of production meant that quality control was not always perfect, which contributed to numerous errors and die varieties. Despite that, the 1944 pennies are generally well struck and display strong design elements. The obverse still used Victor D. Brenner's original design from 1909, which remained largely unchanged throughout the wheat cent era. Throughout the mid-20th century, the 1940 for wheat cent became one of the most commonly found coins in circulation, especially among baby boomers, who often pulled them from pocket change. As part of beginning coin collections, the 1970s and 1980s, interest in coin collecting soared. The 1940 for penny was often one of the first coins young collectors would identify and
quietly in your drawer or jar of old change, and nothing more than forgotten pieces of copper. Then this story might completely change your perspective. Imagine owning a simple-looking wheat penny from 1940 that could actually be worth much more than just 1 cent. Yes, the Liberty wheat penny from 1940 might just turn the tables for you. And if you stick around until the end of this video, you will discover not only its fascinating history but also how you can uncover its hidden value and where to sell it for the best price. The year 1940 was a defining period in American history. The world was on the brink of global war, and the United States was preparing for the changes that would soon shake every corner of society. During this time, the U.S. Mint continued to produce coins that reflected both tradition and resilience. The Liberty wheat penny, also known as the Lincoln cent, was one of the most common coins of the era, yet today, it carries a special weight in the eyes of collectors and historians. The wheat penny had already been in circulation since 1909, marking the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. By 1940, Americans were deeply familiar with its design. On the obverse side, the strong profile of Lincoln represented leadership and perseverance, values desperately needed as storm clouds of conflict gathered overseas. On the reverse side, the two simple wheat stalks framed the denomination, symbolizing agriculture and prosperity, both of which were pillars of the American identity at the time. Minting for the 1940 penny occurred in 3 locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Each mint left its own mark, or in the case of Philadelphia, no mint mark at all. These subtle differences in lettering and placement of the mint marks are what makes certain coins rare today. Collectors always keep their eyes on mint marks because they can dramatically increase a coin's desirability and value. The Philadelphia Mint produced the majority of 1940 wheat pennies, making them the most common. However, the Denver and San Francisco mints produced fewer, and certain variations or errors among those batches have become incredibly sought after. For instance, pennies with double die errors, where the design appears slightly doubled due to misalignment during striking
and unexpected value. Imagine discovering a simple 5-cent piece that has been in circulation for decades and realizing it could change the way you think about pocket change. If you happen to own a Liberty 5-cent coin from 1990, it might just turn the tables for you. So stick around until the end of this video, because not only will we uncover its rich history and details, but I will also reveal how collectors on eBay and major auction platforms value this coin today. And most importantly, I will show you how you can sell one if you are lucky enough to own it. The 1990 Liberty 5-cent coin, more commonly known as the Jefferson nickel, is a fascinating piece of American coinage that carries forward a long legacy. The Jefferson nickel design was first introduced in 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel, and it has remained a cornerstone of U.S. currency for decades. By 1990, the design had already been in use for over 50 years, making it a familiar sight to Americans everywhere, yet it still retained the respect of collectors who recognized its historical continuity. On the obverse of the coin, you find the portrait of Thomas Jefferson, the third president of the United States and the principal author of the Declaration of Independence. His likeness, facing left, symbolizes the nation's commitment to democracy, independence, and innovation. The reverse of the coin proudly displays Monticello, Jefferson's Virginia home, an architectural masterpiece and symbol of his vision for a young and thriving nation. What makes the 1990 nickel especially interesting is that it belongs to a period when the U.S. Mint was producing coins in very large numbers to meet circulation demands. That means many were struck, but condition and striking quality varied. Collectors today value sharp, clean strikes, especially coins that show Jefferson's features and Monticello's details with clarity and depth. The coin was minted into primary locations, Philadelphia and Denver, marked with either no mint mark or a small D on the coin. Proof versions were also made in San Francisco, featuring mirrored fields and frosted designs intended for collectors. These proof coins, when preserved in pristine condition, are among the most desirable to numismatists.